Canadian Futures Trader here. Welcome to the channel and welcome to the video.
Gotta get more followers.
Be sure to subscribe, turn on those notifications, get notified every time I put out a brand new video. Today's video going to be going over Liberty Market Investment LMI. Several of you have asked me to review them. I finally got around to it, so I just made a video about a different prop firm which I was not very fond of. I really liked how that video turned out though. I'm basically going to go through Liberty Market Investment's website in the same fashion, basically as someone brand new looking at their site, trying to figure out, are they good, are they bad, what are the steps, what are the rules. So let's go through Liberty Market Investment and figure out together if this is good or if it is bad. As always, I encourage you to visit my website, CanadianFuturesTrader.ca, link down below. I put up reviews over here on the right. As well, you can find them here of several trader evaluation programs. This will only continue to grow as I try to put out fair evaluations of each of the different companies, the pros, the cons, and help guide people on what might be the best fit for their situation. So that said, let's take a look at Liberty Market Investment. So just scrolling down their page, and we're going to get to the more details. I did take a preliminary look at the website just to be familiar with it. I will say it's not off to a great start relative to some of the other companies. So for one, this is it. There's 3 stages: a practice session, a qualified session, and then funded. You essentially have a 2-step process to pass, and essentially you have to reach the goal twice with more rules on step number 2. Now there are other programs which have 2 steps, but this one you have to basically go through the entire program a second time. So right off the bat, I gotta say that's probably gonna be a negative, but let's give them a fair shake and look through the details. So let's go to start trading. Okay, so step 1 is a practice session. Your subscription, it's a subscription base, it's 30 days. If you break a rule, you can always restart. Restarts are $100. That's everything so far is very standard. It's on par with the other companies that I talk about. Let's take a look at their account sizes. So they have some smaller account sizes, 10,000, 30,000. A lot of companies like TopStep, for example, just did away with their smaller accounts. The smallest account at most companies is either 25K or 50K. So they do have a 10K account if you want to go that route. I'm going to focus more on the larger ones just because that's what I typically trade. So that's what I'm more familiar with in terms of drawdowns and things like that. I will say, so looking at their 150K account, I mean, their profit goal is kind of on par. I would say in general, everything is on par with other companies. 15 contracts is the same. This profit goal is slightly less. Most companies are 9,000. Here it's 8,500. Price 350. Not bad. I mean, you can get a deal with some of the other companies and definitely get this a lot cheaper at something like Earn to Trade, for example. But nonetheless, nothing so far stands out as good or bad relative to the other companies. Now keep in mind, this is stage 1, the practice session. So what isn't clear here is the minimum number of trading days. It's not listed here and it's not listed here. So I don't know at this point. So let's click on choose just to see if we can get some more info. And when you select choose, you do not get any more info. Basically, you put in your information, your Volfix platform login. I've never once heard of Volfix. So basically you are signing up. So right off the start, I have no idea what the minimum number of days to trade is. And ask support, but I feel like that's something you probably want to put out there. They have some other rules with the mini account, the $10,000 one, like you only get 15 days instead of 30 days. Keep that in mind. So they have them listed here as if they're kind of on par, but this one's actually half the duration. But let's march on. I just want to see. So let's say I trade whatever the minimum number of days is, and I pass. Then I move on to the qualifying session. So this is free for your first 30 days. So it's basically like a step 2. And I guess your 30 days, I'm assuming your 30 days resets when you pass step 1. So now you have a full 30 days to pass step 2. It's not going to cost you anymore. And you can restart. Restarts, though, here are $120. A little bit more, but fair enough. Again, no minimum number of days to trade is listed. But we do have all the specs. I mean, it's basically the same goals, etc. Like I said, the first 30 days are free, but after that it would reset at $350. You essentially have to go through the same thing twice except there's a few more rules on step 2. So step 1 is practice, step 2 is qualifying. Step 2, you can't hold into major economic releases, and there's a scaling plan. Oh, here we go on the minimum trading days. Okay, finally we have an answer here. Trade a minimum of 5 days. Oh, okay, and step 2 is trade a minimum of 8 days. I'm going to ignore the mini account for now. Okay, this is actually not bad. So this really is like a step 1 and a step 2. It's very on par with something like a TopStep, which is 5 days and 10 days. There's really not too many others that have multiple step processes to pass, but not too bad. I was assuming the worst and assuming you had to trade like 10 or 15 days on each. So, okay, so far I'm going to say there's not a lot of difference between this and other programs, aside from the fact that there is a 2-step process. You're going to have to reach that goal twice. In most programs, this goal would be 9,000 and you'd only have to reach it once. So it's looking very top-steppy at this point. Okay, so far, just, you 100% of your first 8 grand. After that, it's 80-20. On par with anything else that I'm familiar with. They have something here where if you reach 2/3 your max trailing drawdown, you can go back to qualifying. And you get 1 free month of the practice subscription. We're just going to skip that for now. I'm not that interested in it. So again, I believe these numbers are the same as above. This would be the funded account, or funded session as they call it. Benefits, it's boilerplate. I'm a little bit curious about this. Take full advantage of the Volfix platform. I'm wondering if you have to use whatever this platform is. I haven't seen anything yet about what programs you're allowed to use. Can you use Rithmic? Do you use NinjaTrader? So just for fun, I clicked on Volfix down here. It loaded up this website, which is Volfix's website. I have never once heard of this software, so that's not necessarily a great sign. They have lots of things that look great. I saw the CME logo somewhere in there. The site's very kind of jumpy, as you can tell. Like, I'm just trying to scroll down and it's jumping. Every time I scroll, it jumps around. Yeah, so we're not off to a great start with Volfix. So I have a lot of questions. So I went to the help center. So at this point, it sounds very similar to something like a TopStep. There's 2 steps to pass. You have to reach the profit goal twice. There's more rules on the second step, like a scaling plan. The number of days are 5 and then 8. So let's take a look at their help files and dig around and see if it's good, if it's bad, etc. So the first thing I'm going to say is I see no mention of what programs you can use other than Volfix. I honestly believe you are stuck using Volfix, which I have never once in my life heard of. So I'm going to give that as the first kind of red flag with this. I think most of us are familiar with kind of the traditional, Sierra charts, NinjaTrader, MetaTrader. I use Jigsaw. We're used to connecting through Rithmic. Everything is done a little bit different here with this Volfix. I don't know if it's good or bad, but based on their website, I wasn't too impressed to start things off. So let's take a look at scaling plan, because that is important. So qualifying session is step 2, and funded session is after you're funded. So again, let's focus just on the 150K account. So you start off with 3 lots, then you move to 4, 5, 10, and 15. This is honestly okay. Like, this is honestly probably pretty on par with something. For example, I'm doing earn to trade 150K. It's slightly different. You start off with 4, but then there's no step. This is a very short step, 1,500 to 2 grand. So with earn to trade, for example, it goes 4, and then it goes, actually no, I take that back. It goes 4, 6, 8, 15, and it is 15 over 4,500. So I'm just going to say this is similar to other programs. So nothing on the scaling plan. So this is interesting. This is actually a good thing, I would say. So the monthly data fee in the funded session. So with all programs, once you get funded, I take that back. Actually, not with all programs. With most programs, once you get funded, you need to pay a monthly data subscription. It varies company to company. It goes anywhere from no data fees, like a OneUp, to TopStep and earn to trade. You have to pay per market. That's kind of the range of the gamut. These guys charge $30 in a single fee, and you have access to all the markets. So that's definitely on the cheap side. So I will give them that. So in terms of trading times, they actually give you a little bit more leeway. Most companies, you have to be closed by 3:10, 3:05 Central Time. They give you up to 3:50, and you can reopen at 5 o'clock. So you have an hour and 10-minute period where you can't trade. Now, granted, not much is happening in this time. So the fact that you have an extra 40 minutes to trade, I mean, I'm not going to say that's a benefit whatsoever. Yes, it's a little bit more time. There's not a lot of activity in that period. But on the plus side, it's not any more limited than any of the other products. Now, they do mention EU available here a few times, but it says right here clearly only for EU traders. So a lot of times I get messages asking, what programs could I trade the Euro products? Well, if you're in Europe, you could trade on LMI. But for most people, most of my audience is like US or Canada, you're not going to be trading the Euro products here. So it's kind of the standard offering of products that you can trade. They have an example here of commissions that you'd be charged. I mean, they listed out commission, exchange fees, blah, blah, blah. Let's just focus on a round trip for CL is $4.26. I mean, reasonable. It's about similar. Like, I know earn to trade is $4.04 for a round trip, so it's a little bit more, but it's not the end of the world. So far, I haven't seen any huge red flags. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of multiple steps, so I am going to say there are probably better options than LMI, but I'm not going to say that they are bad. Especially if you're in Europe and you want to trade the Euro products, they might be a viable avenue to go. Again, I haven't been with them. I haven't gone through their program. So I can't speak to anything like their customer service, how good their connection is. I am going to give them a huge thumbs down, though, on platforms. I mean, it sounds like that Volfix is the only option, and I think that's going to be fairly prohibitive for most traders. So in the end, I'm going to give LMI kind of a soft no based on the main two things: that you're going to have to use their own Volfix platform, and two, the two-step process. Everything else is kind of on par with other companies, so why not go with one of the other companies that has some additional benefits, like a one-step process, a 10-day evaluation, ability to use whatever trading platform you want, etc. So it's going to be a thumbs down for me. I wouldn't personally be interested in LMI. If you're curious what programs I do recommend, check out the link below to my website. Go to Trader Evaluations. Take a look at those. Those are all ones that I've either been through or reviewed and look terrific. I would put LMI down at kind of the bottom of the list. I'm not putting it in the category of this is horrible, please nobody sign up for it. But I do think there's better options for people out there. So hopefully that helps some of you. Thanks so much for watching the video. Feel free to email me any questions or comments. Info on my website on the contact page. And I'll see you in the next video.
No.